Alright guys, welcome back to another video on my Z32 on the 92 300ZX twin turbo. So we ran into a few issues with the car after we got it turned on. So we know the radiator's bad. You gotta replace the radiator. ECU seems to be running okay now. It still idles up and down a little bit, but we have a feeling that it's just because of maybe the tune's wrong or something. Something's wrong with the tune or something, maybe possibly with the ECU, but more than likely with the tune because it's running super rich. The other thing could be is that the injectors might be bad because it's the same injectors that were in there when I got the car, and the car's been sitting for a long time. But I mean, either way, I'm gonna end up getting new injectors and getting the ECU tuned. The other thing was one of the coil connectors had to be rewired. That made the car run a whole lot better. A few vacuum leaks here and there, but today the main issue that I'm gonna take care of is an oil leak. I have an oil leak on the back of the driver's side head, and of course you're not going to be able to see it now. You'll see it once I take the intake back off. The VTC solenoid on the rear of the head, on the, I guess where the valve cover is at, we need to get that one taken off. I'm pretty sure I damaged it when we were putting the engine in. It's leaking oil from there, but I want to see how quickly I can remove the intake on this car, because now I have all the deletes done on this thing, and I guess it should be pretty quick, but I just want to see about how long it should take. Shouldn't be more than like 10-15 minutes, maybe even less than that, because I just had it apart. So I want to record that and time myself and see how long it takes me to get it all taken apart. So that's gonna be the first thing. We're gonna take care of that oil leak, and I'm gonna be ordering the radiator tonight, and hopefully in this video we'll be showing the radiator too, because that's the only thing I need left so that I could leave the car running and warm it up, let it go through some heat cycles. But yeah, what we'll do right now is we'll get started on taking the intake off and see how long it takes. All right guys, it's currently 8:56, and let's see how long this takes. I don't have any of my tools ready, so I'm just gonna get things as I go. So let's the other one already out of the other motor, so we're good with that. Just gotta take off this valve cover so you can get access to that, and I'll show you guys why. I could never understand why they used Phillips head screws on here, on this one, and then 10s on the other side. I don't know. And now there's two 10mm bolts on that. Now we just need to take those two off, and that that solenoid will come off. See, I had this towel under there while we were checking the misfire that I was having, and yeah. So here we got our new / used solenoid, and all you gotta do, I cleaned mine off, somewhat cleaned it off. You're gonna use silicone, so you're gonna put silicone on the bottom side, and if you want on the top side. The top side's supposed to go with the valve cover gasket, and then the bottom seals with silicone. At least that's what it had on there, and I'm pretty sure that's all that it takes, unless they sell a gasket or seal something that goes under there. But I'm sure you put a good amount of silicone on the bottom, maybe a little bit on the top, just to seal with the valve cover gasket if you want, and then just reverse order, put it back in. Make sure you clean the surface on the head. Yeah, this one had a whole bunch of like blue silicone, and I'm going to use whatever I have. It's either going to be gray or black silicone. So I got this gray one. This will be fine. I've used it on valve covers and stuff like this plenty of times, so I know it'll work. So just I'm going to put a good amount on the bottom, a little bit on the top, maybe a tiny little bit around where the valve cover gasket seals, and then put it back on. Slap everything back together. Okay, so that's about how much I'm gonna use. Should be more than enough. So it doesn't look like it needs too much like on the top side, but just me being me, I'm gonna put some more on there. It's supposed to seal with the valve cover gasket, but my valve cover gasket looks a little on the older side. So I'm gonna help it out and put some silicone on it. And yes, I could go buy a valve cover gasket, but I'm not going to. So I'm gonna do this. You know, I've never really needed much help working on these cars. Usually you just figure it out as you go. But I was looking online to see if I could find anything on replacing these seals, and for the life of me could not find anything on this damn solenoid. Just people saying that they were trying to delete it, but nobody showing if they replaced it, or if they've ever needed to replace it and how they replaced it. So if you ever need to replace this, you can't just slip it out. You have to remove the intake, take off the valve cover, and then remove it, because when you reinstall it, you're gonna have to use silicone on the bottom side of it. And there's no way that, well, at least I don't think there's any way that you could fit your hand back there while the intake's on to pull it out, silicone it, and then put it back in. So I see this being the only option, removing them. And then another thing, if you ever wanted to test them, it's just a 2-pin connector. So if you wanted to test to see if those worked, just add power and ground to them. You'll see the little it's like a little plunger that goes in and out. And that's what makes your VTC work. Well, that along with your front cam gears but very simple. And now after doing all those deletes on the intake, makes it 100 times easier to remove the intake. Anybody doing this or thinking about doing the deletes on your intake, just freaking do them. Especially if you're gonna be working on these cars a lot, just freaking do it. Don't even think about it, just do it. So while I was doing the other side, I decided, you know, why not? I already have the intake off, might as well just make sure that this side doesn't leak on me later on. So I was like, I'll just take this one off, clean it up, put some new silicone on there, put it back on. But there was a little bracket that was part of this bolt right here, and it fell into the freaking head. And it fell in. I couldn't get it out. I stuck my finger in there. I couldn't feel where it was. I stuck a magnet in there. The magnet wouldn't touch it, so I had to take this other valve cover off, and then I was able to get it through there. So I'm probably just gonna end up doing the valve cover gaskets now. At this point, I only have the other side to take off, or whatever. At least these two, and then the one on the other side are gonna get done. But just trying to make it so it won't leak again from those solenoids, I end up having to do all this. Oh well, it'll end up being good for us. We won't have any oil leaks up there at all. So now I just gotta put everything back together, reseal it, same thing. This valve cover up here, this one has a gasket, and I'm just putting a little bit of silicone on it just so I make sure it seals good. This one only takes silicone. So now I'll get back to putting this together, and I'll come back once I have everything put back together. Bam, just like that. With the magic of editing, we finished in 1 second. So I got everything put back together, and it's actually a good thing that I had to take it back apart, is I had some vacuum lines over here that were not right. So this one right here, it goes to this boost, I believe it's called the boost sensor. This is the one that reads for your gauge. And then this one here, well, this one right here is for this regulator. I don't remember which one the regulator is and which one the dampener is, but this one, this here, it routes and then it goes to here, and I had it going down to my wastegate on this turbo. I assumed, because it was over here, that it went into some sort of vacuum on the balance tube, but it was straight to this guy right here, to this thing. So I looped it here, went into this side, and this one does go into the balance tube, and then right there splits off into the boost sensor. So luckily I was able to catch that when I took it apart. Everything else seemed fine. So hopefully everything's gonna be good, and we're gonna start it up right now and see if what we did worked, or if we're gonna have some bolts knocking around on the inside of the engine. We're about to find out. All right, let's see if what we did was right. Alright, so you guys just saw I almost died. Swear to God, I thought I almost died right now. I don't know what the hell happened, but This thing backfired horribly, and I went through the harness again to make sure I didn't have any wires like flipped backwards or anything, and everything's exactly how I had it. So I don't know what the hell happened. The only thing I changed was over here where that regulator's at, that I put the line to vacuum, because that's, it has a vacuum line, so I made sure that I put it to vacuum. And so what I did, I capped those off again, make sure that wasn't the reason that it backfired like that. Also, I unplugged the injectors just to make sure that it's not like that injector issue, that it was flooding. And I swapped out ECU, so I put the NA ECU again, and I'm gonna try it again, and hopefully it doesn't backfire like it just did, because holy crap. So let's try it again. So maybe too much fuel. I'm gonna put the injectors back on, plug in all the injectors, and then we'll try it again. Maybe that ECU was really just dumping that much fuel. One more time. Okay. Was that even good because of a vacuum leak, I guess? Alright guys, so for right now, I'm not gonna mess with this anymore, but I'm pretty sure that it is gonna be something to do with the ECU or with the injectors, or both. But when I unplug the injectors, have them all unplugged, turn on the car, it'll turn on and then turn back off, meaning that there's fuel in the cylinders. So there's fuel in the cylinders, get rid of it once you crank it, the car turns on, turns off, hook the injectors back up, and then the car starts up fine, but then dies after a few seconds because there's way too much fuel. It's kind of confusing that it's doing it now and it didn't do it before. Before, when we were starting it up, it was starting up just fine. I don't know why now, unless at first there was a vacuum leak. I caught it though, and I put it back on. As soon as I put it on, the car turned off. So I don't know what's going on here, but for right now, I'm not gonna mess with it until we get the radiator in. Once we get the radiator, I'll put the new radiator in. Maybe I can get a hold of Z-Shack and have them tune the ECU for these injectors, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, because it ran smooth. You guys saw in that little clip right now, it ran smooth with the NA ECU, but then it still turned off once I fixed that vacuum leak. So I'm not too sure there. All right guys, so for now that's gonna be it for this one. And I'm going to leave you guys with a few little clips of us doing a few pulls in Tony's Z32 in the last cruise that we went on. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.